Good morning, everyone. I'm Indranath Datta, Director of the School of Mechanical Materials Engineering. Welcome to the Order of the Engineer induction ceremony for spring 2020. I would like to extend a warm welcome to our graduating students, their family and friends who have logged into YouTube to be with us today, our speakers during today's program, and the faculty and staff who have joined to celebrate with our students. I'd like to welcome MME's external advisory board members who have joined us on YouTube to support our students. But most particularly, I would like to offer all MME students my heartiest congratulations for having endured the COVID-19 pandemic with courage and fortitude, and for overcoming the many obstacles you have faced in completing your education with ingenuity and resourcefulness. I also take this opportunity to wish you the very best in all your future endeavors. Today, we will, like many things we have done recently, pioneer the offering of the Order of the Engineer online. We are very fortunate to have our Dean, Mary Rizak, and one of our eminent external advisory board members, Jason Trippert, Senior Director at Microsoft, join us in this celebration. I'm also very thankful to Professor John Svensson and Professor Ada Gozen for helping us with the ceremony. Finally, I'd like to thank Ron Ramos, Philanthropic Engagement Officer for VCEA and MME, who will serve as the Master of Ceremonies. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Ron Ramos, our MC for the afternoon. Thank you and welcome.
Thank you, Dr. Datta, and good afternoon, everyone. First of all, I also want to congratulate each and every one of you on your incredible success. You know, given everything that's taken place in our world over the last few weeks and months, your dedication to complete your studies has definitely been put to the test, and an unprecedented test at that. And you have all come out successful. So on behalf of all of us, congratulations. Before we move on with the program, I want to mention a few housekeeping items. First, please note that everyone's microphones have been muted, except for that of the speaker, to ensure that the speaker is heard clearly by all. Second, during the portion of the program where you take your oath in the acceptance of the obligation of an engineer, all cameras will be turned on for you to witness each and every one of you ring yourselves. Please also have your certificates in hand so that we can see you sign those on camera for everybody else to see. With that, let's get started. So without further ado, I'd like to invite Dr. Mary Rizak, our Dean of the Boylan College of Engineering and Architecture, to share a few words. Dr. Rizak?
Hello. As Dean of the Boylan College of Engineering and Architecture, I extend my welcome and congratulations to all. Congratulations to all of our graduates for your hard work and commitment in completing your college education. Congratulations to the family and friends who are here today and who have supported you along this challenging journey. We are incredibly proud of the work that you have done to reach this moment. We've watched you grow during your time here at WSU, learning to manage and balance busy class schedules, work, your finances, club activities, and your friends. This semester especially, we've seen you rise to the challenge of learning in unprecedented circumstances. I've been amazed by your commitment that I've seen in all of you. You've navigated your classes while also managing the serious concerns about health, safety, and well-beings of your family and friends. You've found ways to learn when Wi-Fi wasn't available. You focused on your Zoom lectures when there were distractions underfoot, and you've succeeded. These experiences will be shared by you and will be remembered for a lifetime. And now we look forward to following you as you take your next steps, moving forward in your career and in your lives. As engineers, your careers will be to find solutions to difficult problems. Thankfully, your education has prepared you well for the work ahead. You are ready to take on the daunting challenges of our times, and your work promises now to be even more essential than ever. We care about your successes and are invested in you as you move forward into a bright future. I am confident that you will have a positive impact on the community, and we wish you all the best. And, as always, go Cougs!
Definitely go Cougs. Thank you, Dr. Rizak. Now I'd like to invite Jason Trippard to share a few words. Jason is one of our long-term MME advisory board members. He is also a dedicated Coug and is currently Senior Director of DFX at Microsoft. Having experienced many of the successes and challenges that a lot of you have experienced going through the MME program at WSU, Jason brings a great perspective on transitioning from academia to industry. Jason, I give the floor over to you.
Thank you, Ron. And first of all, I'd like to congratulate each of you in your achievement. Earning an engineering degree is certainly no easy task, and you should feel very, very proud. Internet approached me a few weeks ago to provide some words of encouragement, and if I'm lucky, maybe a bit of inspiration to you. And I'm truly honored, especially given the difficult circumstances you may have endured as you completed this semester remotely, and the uncertainty many of you are facing as you enter the workforce, given the state of the economy. This is truly a unique time and a unique set of challenges. So as I reflected back on my career these past few weeks, I found myself searching for that one experience that may have an analog to what you're going through today. So I might relate to you that experience and how I turned that challenge into an opportunity. Truthfully, although I've lived through a few recessions, including the dot-com crash of '99 and the 2008 mess, never a pandemic, and certainly never a pandemic coupled with this degree of economic impact. That said, I've had my share of challenges, and I did discover a few things along the way, and maybe that discovery has some value to you. So a little about myself. I am, as Ron said, I'm the Senior Director of DFX at Microsoft within the Microsoft Windows and Devices organization. I've been with Microsoft for over 15 years now, originally joining as a manufacturing engineer too, in the support of the development of the original Xbox 360 wireless controller. At that time, I was one of two manufacturing engineers in the entire company. There was one on the Xbox console and there was one on accessories, and that was me. Since then, I've been involved in the product and manufacturing process development for every version of the Xbox console and accessory, including Kinect, up to and including the soon-to-be launched Xbox Series X, which you guys are waiting for. I've also been involved in the development of every single service device and was part of the original team that created that product line. Building teams, shifting paradigms, and evangelizing new design and manufacturing philosophies has certainly been had its share of challenges and opportunities. For example, design for assembly and manufacturability was not a thing at Microsoft when I first joined. I introduced that paradigm, that philosophy. Seeing and responding to those challenges and opportunities is interesting for sure, but that's not really the entire message I'd like to give to you. The message is that you have a unique perspective that is wholly yours. That perspective is built from a collection of experiences and your own way in internalizing and processing those experiences. Perspective is understanding, and from that comes discovery and innovation. Never assume that if something is obvious to you, that it's obvious to everyone. And don't assume that there's a good reason for it not to be that way. Never assume that just because you're early in career, new to role, don't have a patent yet, still learning, you're the youngest engineer in the group, that you don't have ability to have impact. And don't assume that your current experience, as uncertain as it may be, doesn't have purpose and value. The thing I discovered about myself is that my path to success has been rather nonlinear, and that many of the key pivot points in my life came out of a time of uncertainty and in many cases, really dire circumstances. The opportunities I responded to leveraged experience that weren't necessarily part of the master plan. Like all of you, I mean, I had a knack for science and math early in life. Fortunately, my dad was a physics professor at WSU, and he catered to those interests at an early age. I had Legos and chemistry stats, and I was involved in science clubs and all that. We had a PC way back in 1979, an Apple II Plus, in a time where most people had no idea what a PC was. I learned to code in 4 languages by the time I was 14. And you listen to that and you say, okay, easy path, right? You know, take a few AP credits in high school, go off to university in engineering, computer science, work for Apple, Microsoft, job done, right? That's not exactly how it happened. The fact of the matter is I left the house when I was 16. Leaving is probably an easy way of saying it. And so therefore I was homeless. But rather than dropping out of high school and working full time, I finished high school in a tiny little town in Idaho, living as a ranch hand so I could finish high school. There's no scholarships or collegiate counseling coming out of a cul-de-sac, Idaho. I was pretty much on my own. I wasn't getting any support from my parents. So with nothing but good intentions and a little bit of money saved from work over the summer on the farms, I enrolled at LCSC in Lewiston in their computer science program. And I joined a rock band. Gigs don't pay, equipment's not cheap. I ran out of tuition money. I dropped out and found myself again homeless, bandless, and basically unemployed. So knowing that I needed to go somewhere and I needed to get back to school somehow, I joined the Navy and as an aircraft mechanic. Navy would be a great job experience, a place to live, pay for my college. That's a good plan, right? Why aviation structural mechanic and not say information tech or some other computer related rate, given my interest in computers? It really was about the experiences I had on the ranch in cul-de-sac. And I learned to troubleshoot and repair things with what was on hand in the moment when the need arose. I mean, we couldn't just go to Home Depot or anything. We had to fix things. I had to learn how to weld and all that sort of things. And that seemed like the Navy would provide extension to that experience, which I thought was really, really positive. Also, aircraft systems run on software, so that's interesting as well. So I loved aircraft. My time in the Navy was great. The gratification I got from working on tractors and combines on the farm was actually intensified like 10 times when I'm working on these EA-6B Prowlers in Whidbey Island. So, you know, push forward. I finished my 4-year tour. I'm enrolling at WSU as a mechanical engineer. And as a result of that aircraft experience that I switched over from wanting to go into computer science. So I got it and I had a plan. And, you know, I'm going to go to WSU, get my ME degree, and I'm going to go work for Boeing because aircraft's great, pass set, easy. So if you fast forward to my senior year, and I'm going to line of sight to my graduation, just as where you're at today with a BSME, and I have a specialty in dynamics control systems. I want to work on flight controls, right? I also, in the time in my undergrad, I joined the Navy Reserves for a little extra cash, but not as an aircraft mechanic. I joined as a hull tech, and I worked at Puget Sound Naval Shipyard and did things like sheet metal design and fabrication and weldment design and things like that. So during that time, we had a recession, and it was a recession of 91, 92. And granted, it was over by the time I graduate. It was called a jobless recovery. And what that meant to Washington State is that the aviation industry wasn't hiring yet. Boeing wasn't hiring. So here I was, no prospects coming out of school. Certainly not in the industry that I was really just heads down focused on getting into. So I did what a lot of people in my shoes did. I went to grad school, and I went to grad school at WSU. Now, I didn't want to be a TA. I needed the money. I needed the stipend. I wanted to be an RA, but there was no grants available, anything that had remotely anything to do with aviation. But there was a grant available from Flow down in Kent, which you don't know is water jet technology. So I said, cool. You know, I did take some CAD/CAM stuff as an extension of some extra classes I took in my undergrad. I know G code. I can do that, and I can support that. So all in grad school, did a semester of grad school. I was in my summer term. I lost my grant for the following year, and I experienced a major life event. So I went on permanent hiatus from grad school. So I dropped out again. And again, I'm homeless and basically unemployed, with the exception of what I was doing in the Navy Reserves. So I moved to my sister's house in Lewiston, and I spent every waking hour looking for an entry-level ME position, and helping my brother-in-law work on old cars and motorcycles. So I felt like I was doing something to pay for my food. And I was really, really getting frustrated. I mean, there was just nothing out there, and it's certainly not anything that lined up with the path that I chose for myself. one day my good friend Don, and Don's a welder, and he's a Navy vet. I met him at Puget Sound Naval Shipyard. He's in the same outfit that I was in the reserves. Blue collar guy, never been to school. Said, hey, why don't you come fishing with me every morning before I go to work? And so we're down the Snake River fishing for bass. And Don said, look, man, you're going through some tough times. Maybe rather than being uber focused on the degree that you just earned and trying to translate that into something that you had constructed, some ideal you had constructed in your mind, why don't you focus on the experiences that you had in the Navy Reserves, even working on cars and motorcycles, and maybe push that to the front and focus on that, at least to get going. And I took that to heart. I said, okay, well, I can do the sheet metal stuff. I took this HVAC class during the summer term over at U of I during my grad work. So I rewrote my resume and I completely revamped my elevator pitch, if I got into the door. And within a week, I took a job as an apprentice for a small local HVAC firm in Lewiston. And I drove forklifts. I helped install residential HVAC units. I helped in the fab shop. I took inventory. I maintained a fleet of service vans, not exactly engineering work, but it was work, at least for the first month or so. I found soon enough that there was 4 mechanical engineers on staff for commercial and government installations and large scale design work. And they were on the top floor of the shop. And I inquired, of course, it's like, hey, I've got an ME degree. What's it take to get up there, to get upstairs? And I rambled a bunch of terms and specifications I'd learned in the class that I took that last summer. And the response was this. It's like, oh, well, you have to complete an apprenticeship, get your journeyman's license, work for a bit, and maybe you'd be considered for an engineering position. And you can't just come into here with a degree there, college boy, and expect to, compete with all these old timers that have done the time, right? And it's like, okay, well, this feels like there needs to be a paradigm shift here. But I'll wait for that opportunity. And that did come soon enough. So the HVAC firm won a bid to put a bunch of welding booths in at the Votech side of Lewis Clark State College in Lewiston. And the scope was to design and fabricate this bank of booths, which with fume extraction and smoke extraction hoods. And it had to support a certain flow rate under a specific max load and within a specified footprint within the building. The engineers were really struggling with the calcs on this, and they were discussing this problem in the break bench behind the shop during lunch. And I listened in and I asked if maybe I could look at the specifications and take a shot at it. And they said, sure, why not? And so I took it home. I derived the formulas, I solved the calcs on my own time and gave it back to them the next day. And they were able to get the contract and they knew what they were able to scope the project. 2 days later, I was asked to develop a load frame weldment design for a massive grain elevator and ventilator installation in Lapway. And I knocked that out in about an hour and turned that in. And still no offer to move upstairs. But I did gain confidence and I gained stats with the team. And I, most importantly, gained a moment of clarity. So those 2 projects enlightened me in how I could blend my experience, couple that with my ability to solve problems in an ambiguous environment. And that all matters. And it's not just a degree. So I took another step at my resume, and this time I cast a really wide net. And I said, why do I focus on aircraft and aviation? There's a lot of things I can do with what I know. And let me couple all those experiences together and throw that out there in the world and see what happens. Micron Tech in Boise, Idaho gave me a call within a few weeks. They wanted a mechanical engineer for a brand new SMT process and engineering position that they just posted for some new memory module production lines they had just installed. Now, I had no idea that mechanical engineers even worked in the consumer electronics industry. I mean, I thought that was all double E land, right? And I certainly didn't know what surface mount technology was. I had zero context. I was really concerned I was out of my element, but I was still writing that moment of clarity I just gained about this sort of experimental thing. So I went to Boise and got into the day-long interview process. And I soon connected with the hiring manager, who is a double E. And he, I found, was brand new to this SMT stuff as well, but had indexed on the fact that I had some manufacturing automation keywords sprinkled through my resume. And I had linked my Navy experience and with my coursework, and I was able to draw all these sort of patterns, and he really responded favorably to that. And when it came time for me to ask questions at the end of the interview, I asked him what the big problems were that he was trying to solve right now in the moment. And he said the process headache right now was CNC routing or depanelization of memory modules from the master PCBA to a plus or minus 100 micron tolerance, and as high as a throughput rate as possible, but without breaking solder joints due to stress. I said, wow, I know G-code thanks to that CAD/CAM class and that experience with the flow water jet. And I knew how to design jigs and fixtures thanks to the Navy reserves. And I'd already sort of coupled that with strength and materials that I'd learned in school. So, and I know there's going to be pneumatic controls and machine design and things like that, but I can figure that on the fly, right? Leveraging my Navy experience and certainly the work I did at WSU in my ME degree. So I was able to sort of take all that create an insane stream of consciousness and somehow articulate that problem-solving approach. And I got an offer. So I left that day with an offer in my pocket, and probably more a result of my passion and confidence that I extracted from being able to construct that pattern of experiences and things. Because truthfully told, as a double E, sort of glazed over when I was talking about bit deflection and climb versus conventional cutting and all that. So back in Lewiston, I talked to the HVAC firm owner, and he said he would match the offer and promote me. But he told me that after listening to me describe the experience, that I might be walking away from a once in a lifetime opportunity if I didn't do that, if I didn't go to Boise. And so, of course, I went to Boise. So then I stayed at Micron for 8 years, initially as a process engineer, ultimately as a corporate engineer responsible for new product introduction and development of company-wide manufacturing best practices and global manufacturing site management in Singapore, Korea. I was awarded 8 patents for machine design and manufacturing methods for that problem that the double E, actually my boss told me initially, and I helped him solve that. And as a result, sort of really got a kick on my career as I got patents within the first couple of years that I was there. Traveled to Singapore, South Korea, Germany, and sucking up the culture and experiences and tailoring our business approach according to what I was learning from these people in these different locations and these different cultures. And opportunities just flowed like a water through a fire hose. I mean, life was really good. And then I was fired. So I saw an opportunity in how we should expand our global supply base in China. And this is early 2000s. And that was, the outsource sort of move was starting to get into China. And I think I pushed too hard, truthfully. And so this time I'm not homeless. I have a house to live and I have some money in my pocket, but I'm jobless. And the strange thing is, after all that sort of experience I had and how I dealt with it, I kind of reverted that old linear thought process. And in the moment, I had decided that my next job has to be a tightly toleranced extension of the role I was just in. And so I was looking for this perfect job that didn't exist. So I sat with that frustration for a couple of months, and then I sort of decided, what, why am I worried about this? And I went to Burning Man in 2004, and I went the entire week. And that was the ultimate experience at the time for the experience-minded, for sure. When I plugged back in coming out of that, sort of the renewed purpose, and I regained that clarity about how I should be thinking about sort of this non-linear approach to my career. Just within the matter of weeks, I'd landed an interview for a development program manager position at Microsoft for Xbox console development. Now, I've never been a PM. I didn't even know what a PM did. But I know what an Xbox is, and I have a vision of how they can be manufactured in China, because I did know that this is the first generation that are designed in-house, and they're moving out of places like Romania and Mexico and designing in China. So no, I didn't get the job as a PM, but I did land a job as a manufacturing engineer for Xbox accessories, and that position hadn't even been posted yet. That was as a result of me talking about the things I could do with them. And when I was asked why I was fired from Micron, I mean, I was truthful. It turns out it turned out the same paradigm shift that Micron wasn't ready for, Microsoft was. And that's what really got me the job, is not being afraid of that and telling that story. So I found that I need experiences outside the plan, and I need to be in the unexpected to allow myself to be just a little outside my comfort zone and be pushed just a little bit. And I think that's how we as humans innovate. So ever since the 99.com bust, I made it a point to do something massive every year. And the thing about 99.com bust, and although I didn't get laid off, about 1 out of 5 people around me did. And I sort of once in that time said, you know what, I got to get more out of life, and I want to be worried all the time, and I want to be able to extend sort of my worldview and gain experiences. And so I made a point from that point on to at least once a year do something massive, and it could be here in our backyard in the Cascades or whatever, or it could be somewhere overseas. And a good example is just this past year, I rode a motorcycle through the Himalayas of Nepal with some friends. We took jeeps overland from Kathmandu to Pokhara, and then rode essentially adventure bikes from Pokhara through the Annapurnas all the way up to the border of Tibet, which is about 16,000 feet of elevation. And we crossed freezing rivers of glacial ice melt. We rode these little tight goat tracks on edges of cliffs. And actually, maybe I can just choose a background real quick to give you an idea. You know, ate yak jerky with yak herders in their tents out on these plains. I went on a photo shoot with Nat Geo in a ancient Tibetan Buddhist temple for morning prayers, which has never been done for Westerners. And so I was just kind of there, and I was like, yeah, why not? You know, we broke bikes and we fixed bikes, and we heard incredible stories from these incredible people, and we ate their food and we learned about their culture. And I strengthened connections with my riding buddies as we moved through each of these challenges every day, and shared these incredible experiences and wins as we transcended every obstacle and gained a new understanding of the world around us. And when I was out there, I didn't think about my day-to-day at Microsoft at all. But when I got back to Microsoft, I did think about those experiences and how those experiences and connections with the people influenced me to be a better engineer and a more mindful coach and manager and just a better human being overall. And I certainly have ideas for what I want to do after Microsoft as well, but you know, nothing's set in stone. I think we'll see what the next thing brings, right? So some of you may not have a job waiting for you this summer, or you may have a job lined up, but the traditional work in the office thing may not be available to you right now. And you may be feeling a lot of anxiety and uncertainty about your future. So, you know, what is the expectation for yourself? And can it be flexible? What's the degree of linearity in your plan, and what experiences define you as an individual, as an engineer? So, you know, we are dependent on technology now more than ever, and it's hyper evolving in order for us to continue to connect, innovate, and produce, even though we're not on site. And we're seeing this right now. So we're in this Zoom call, and I work every day through Teams with my team and stuff like that. And so welcome to the world of remote everything. And that's interesting. And that's interesting for us as innovators. That's interesting for us as engineers. It's interesting for us as humans in society. The experiences that you're having right now places you in a really unique point in time. And it helps frame the impact you as engineers will have on the society. The opportunities are there. It may also provide you with a little time to go off path into the nonlinear. So explore, to experience something different, to reflect. So don't push yourself into a preconceived notion of what you should be. You don't have to fit a model or a box. Just relax, take it in, and when things snap back, you'll be ready for the world, and it'll be ready for you. So thanks again. Congratulations, and appreciate my being able to talk to you today.
Great. Jason, thanks so much for sharing and being willing to share that interesting life story. You know, adaptability has certainly led you to be successful in life, and certainly is an example of us to be resilient and flexible in what we do. So we greatly appreciate you sharing that. Thank you so much. Let's now begin to shift over to the formal order of the engineer induction ceremony. In order to do this, I want to invite Dr. John Swenson, who many of you know, Assistant Professor of MME, who will read the history of the order as well as the significance and obligation of the ring. Dr. Swenson, I give it over to you.
Thank you, Ron. Decades ago, our engineering counterparts in Canada found the need for the introduction of a spirit of community and cohesiveness among engineers. The Canadians believed that a good way to go about achieving this would be to instill in engineers a consciousness of belonging to one another, to themselves as individuals, and to those they serve. The result of this need for community resulted in the Canadian ritual of the calling of an engineer. The words of the ritual were written by the British author Rudyard Kipling. The ritual also included the placing of a wrought iron ring on the small finger of the working hand. Maxims similar to those of Kipling took hold in Ohio, and correspondence between members of the Canadian calling and the then officers of the Ohio Society of Professional Engineers, notably Lloyd Chasey, Homer Borton, and Brooks Ernest, with a view toward extending the Canadian ceremony to the United States. At that time, the expansion was halted due to copyright and some other conflicting factors. During 1966, a group of US engineers began to pursue the establishment of what was then known in Ohio as the Order of the Engineer. While this group deliberated, seniors at the Fenn College of Engineering at Cleveland State University, counseled by Dean Burl Bush, designed and held the first ring ceremony and reception on June 4th, 1970. About 170 engineering seniors and faculty members participated in the ceremony, during which each participant signed a creed and received a stainless steel ring placed on the small finger of the working hand. A second ceremony was held in Akron, Ohio in February 1971, which included seniors at the University of Akron and practicing engineers. Since then, the order has grown to include tens of thousands of members inducted at links, or local chapters, established in nearly every state in the Union. Although patterned after the Canadian concept, the Order of the Engineer has differences that are distinctively associated with the United States of America. We ask that you accept with pride the meaning and the purpose of the ceremony in which you are about to participate, to uphold the standards and integrity of the engineering profession. I will now explain the significance of the obligation and the ring. Candidates for the order, guests and friends, the Order of the Engineer, to which you will soon belong, is an independent organization. Its purpose is to foster a feeling of pride in and dedication to that profession which binds us together. The order is symbolized by the acceptance of an obligation and the wearing of a stainless steel ring on the little finger of the working hand. There are no meetings other than the ceremony, and there are no dues. The obligation to which you will soon subscribe is a composite of several creeds. It emphasizes the fact that we, as engineers, have certain obligations. It promotes honesty and integrity and recognizes that today's engineers are dependent upon their predecessors for the skills they have learned. The significance of what you are about to say and do might be expressed this way. I am an engineer. I have an obligation to my profession. My desire is to apply the golden rule, our code of ethics, to the practice of my profession. My obligation is the yardstick of my professionalism. My professionalism means to me that I will never again ask myself the question, how much do I get out of it? But rather I will ask, how much can I give? The symbol of the desire to be a giver is the engineer's ring. The ring says to all who see it, here is an engineer, possessed of a publicly avowed dedication to his profession and the public it serves. I now ask Dr. Artagozin, George and Joan Berry, Assistant Professor of Mechanical and Materials Engineering, to call the names of the assembled engineers to read the obligation in unison. Please prepare by directing your attention to the oath you were provided.
We will first read the oath together, and although your microphones are muted, you must recite the oath along with me. Once we're done, I will list the names of the inductees and proceed with the ringing. At this time, all candidates, please read in unison the obligation. Oath of the Engineer. I am an engineer. In my profession, I take deep pride. To it, I owe solemn obligation. As an engineer, I pledge to practice integrity and fair dealing, tolerance and respect, and to uphold devotion to the standards and the dignity of my profession, conscious always that my skill carries with it the obligation to serve humanity by making the best use of the earth's precious wealth. As an engineer, I shall participate in none but honest enterprises. When needed, my skill and knowledge shall be given without reservation for the public good. In the performance of duty and in fidelity to my profession, I shall give my utmost. The following students are the newest inductees to the Order of the Engineer, after completing their academic program with the School of Mechanical and Materials Engineering. Madie Babaisal, PhD in Mechanical Engineering. Mariam Jamalian, PhD in Mechanical Engineering. Almuhand Sahood Al-Shihi, Bachelor of Science in Mechanical Engineering. Aaron Ramadan, Bachelor of Science in Mechanical Engineering. Al-Mutana Al-Saidi, Bachelor of Science in Material Science and Engineering. Ali Isa Salim Al-Shukri, Bachelor of Science in Material Science and Engineering. Benjamin Zielinski, Bachelor of Science in Mechanical Engineering. William Tomlinson, Bachelor of Science in Mechanical Engineering. Bradley Taylor, Bachelor of Science in Mechanical Engineering. Brandon Wood, Bachelor of Science in Mechanical Engineering and Bachelor of Science in Material Science and Engineering. Brian Escamilla, Bachelor of Science in Mechanical Engineering. Brian Granados, Bachelor of Science in Mechanical Engineering. Bryson Jaipeen, Bachelor of Science in Mechanical Engineering. Cameron Retzloff, Bachelor of Science in Mechanical Engineering. Chelsea Crabb, Bachelor of Science in Mechanical Engineering. Christina Poletti, Bachelor of Science in Mechanical Engineering. Colton Williams, Bachelor of Science in Mechanical Engineering. Daylene Malaysia, Bachelor of Science in Mechanical Engineering. Derek Fisk, Bachelor of Science in Mechanical Engineering and Bachelor of Science in Material Science and Engineering. Dylan Blair, Bachelor of Science in Mechanical Engineering. Isaiah Bells, Bachelor of Science in Mechanical Engineering and a minor in Material Science and Engineering. Jasmine Edmiston, Bachelor of Science in Mechanical Engineering and a minor in Mathematics and a minor in Computer Science. Jesus Valladares, Bachelor of Science in Mechanical Engineering and a minor in Material Science and Engineering. Jonathan Cochran, Bachelor of Science in Mechanical Engineering. Jose Becerra Fernandez, Bachelor of Science in Mechanical Engineering. Joshua Sieg, Bachelor of Science in Mechanical Engineering. Justin Brundage, Bachelor of Science in Material Science Engineering. Justin Pfaff, Bachelor of Science in Mechanical Engineering. Lucas Ingham, Bachelor of Science in Mechanical Engineering. Mayalin Nakasone, Bachelor of Science in Mechanical Engineering. Michelle Denise, Bachelor of Science in Mechanical Engineering and a minor in Material Science and Engineering. Miguel Ordona, Bachelor of Science in Mechanical Engineering. Nicholas English, Bachelor of Science in Mechanical Engineering. Shaylin Huot, Bachelor of Science in Mechanical Engineering. Shaylin Morgan, Bachelor of Science in Mechanical Engineering. Stacia Kalsa, Bachelor of Science in Mechanical Engineering and a Bachelor of Music in Music Performance. Stephen Lewick, Bachelor of Science in Materials Engineering. Taylor McGriff, Bachelor of Science in Mechanical Engineering. Valentin Chernev, Bachelor of Science in Mechanical Engineering. Zoe Xavier, Bachelor of Science in Mechanical Engineering. Inductees, please ensure your cameras are now on and you have your ring in hand. We will take a moment to switch the camera views to gallery view to display all of the inductees. Stephen, if you can turn your camera on, maybe. All right. I think we're pretty much good to go. All right. So in front of your camera, please ring yourself by placing your ring on the fifth finger of your dominant hand and then sign your certificate. Congratulations to our Mechanical and Materials Engineering Spring 2020 graduates and the Order of Engineering inductees. I will now hand over the microphone to Ron Ramos, our master of the ceremony.
Thank you, Dr. Gozen. Certainly great to see the celebration. And thank you to everyone, faculty, staff, as well as our guests for joining us today. Most deservedly, we congratulate each and every one of you who have taken this oath today. The same drive and dedication that has led you to this point in your life will lead you into the next phase in your career. We encourage you to keep touch with WSU, but specifically with MME, the department, as you progress through your career, your successful career as an engineer. We would love to hear of all your successes and discover ways to partner together for the good of those students who will follow in your footsteps. So thank you, everyone. This concludes our program. And as always, go Cougs.